this. And so I'm fascinated about these two composers because, not only because their music's so wonderful, but because when I was a kid growing up in LA, Prokofiev was there. Every single program had a piece by Prokofiev. He was just regarded as the great, one of the top great 20th century composers. And occasionally you'd hear Shostakovich, but Shostakovich was viewed as a satiric composer. He was someone who told good jokes in his music, but they weren't taken that seriously. And it's been fascinating as I've grown up to see that shift completely. And I think now most people view Shostakovich as one of the major voices of the 20th century. And I think that Prokofiev is still played, but Prokofiev is viewed very much as a lesser composer. And so the talk is going to be, I'm going to go into the scores. We're going to talk about piano music, chamber music, even film music by both of them, because they were both film composers, as you know. But I want to talk about it from this context that clearly their music didn't change. So what in us has changed that we're viewing it differently? And it kind of ties into this idea I was telling you about Copland and Rodrigo, this idea that we have this postmodern aesthetic. It's just so part of our being now that we're so used to combining these different influences. I think we hear Shostakovich differently now than at least people did before, because now people don't hear it as a jumble of things put together for a joke. They hear it in a more Mahlerian sense, that you're putting together all these different worlds. Cosmic Dust, this would be a good way to introduce you a little bit to my music, but also a good transition from Mussorgsky. My piece isn't about Satan, but it's about the cosmos in a different way. So, I got inspired by the Hubble Space Telescope. The images, they resonate in very deep ways, I think, to all of us. And so I wanted to write a piece about them, but not so much a programmatic piece about the pictures, but the feeling of awe and wonder and unlimitless creativity that we feel when we look at all these images. So I was commissioned by the New West Symphony, which is a group here in Oxnard, Thousand Oaks in Los Angeles. And then it was commissioned as well by two orchestras on the East Coast, the Hopkins Symphony, which is part of Johns Hopkins University, and the orchestra in New Jersey called Bay Atlantic. And the reason this is kind of interesting is I didn't know at the time that the Hubble scientists were located at Johns Hopkins. I didn't know this till they were the last to premiere it of the three, and it was only then that I was introduced to the head of the Space Telescope Science Institute. And it was that was really fantastic. He says, I'm inviting all of the scientists who are going to come to the premiere. He says, I like it very much. And he actually it turned out to be also coincidentally, I didn't know any of this, it was the 25th anniversary of the Hubble Space Telescope. So the piece was featured in Science News magazine.